This is your pool party captain, Randy Fitzsimmons, and you're listening to the Game Changer Podcast. Pew pew!
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Nate the Great!
Hello there, my name is NateFNGreat, and welcome to the Game Changer Podcast, where I look to change the game one moment at a time. And it's time for the next day of fantasy bookings. In this booking, I will be talking about the King of the Ring tournament, which is ironic because as I'm recording this, WWE is considering to do a Queen of the Ring tournament in which the finals are going to take place in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I don't see a problem with this at all. I mean, it's not like we've seen horrible matches in the past or have horrible experiences. I mean, it's not like we remember Velasquez versus Lesnar, Dolph Ziggler versus Shane McMahon, Goldberg, Taker and Kane versus Triple H and Shawn Michaels. A lot of other things that nobody really wants to talk about because why? Just why? So, the King of the Ring. A lot of people are big nostalgic fans for it, and honestly, guys, I understand that. I like the King of the Ring. I think it's one of those things that definitely does not get as much credit as it does. When you look at the list of names that have, been absolutely amazing on there, basically every name that's not Mabel, guys like Edge, Kurt Angle, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Macho King, Brock Lesnar, William Regal. Hell, I even throw Baron Corbin on that list because the fact of the matter is he had a nice cloak and crown, and he at least fit the bill to be like a king. It's just they didn't do much with him after that, which is always sad. So I'm going to throw a pitch to have a King of the Ring tournament, and let's see if WWE can even come close to doing as good at this, because I'm going to take a crack at it. So, how I would book it is that I would actually have the King of the Ring matches start from the Raw after SummerSlam, going all the way until Survivor Series. And there's definitely a lot of ways, and there's enough room that you can actually put that on for, every episode of Raw. You can even have a couple matches that are going to be on Raw as well as SmackDown. And there's so much time that you can utilize with it. So, here's my pitch. Going to have 16 competitors in this matchup. I had to double check because for some reason I thought I had 32. But no, it's 16 people. There will be the qualifying matches, the next round matches. Well, first round matches, I should say. Then it goes into the semifinals, then the finals for each brand, and then the big finals at the end. So let's first get one thing out of the way. Why are these stars battling for the King of the Ring crown? Is it so that they can wear a, cloak, wear a crown for about a year? Is it so that they can have this rich, snobby persona like the one and only King Booker? Is it so that way they can earn, a title shot in the future? Is it to give them a big push? You know something? There's so many things that are in there that I definitely say yes to, like earning a big push, getting a title opportunity, getting a huge opportunity. So here's what I would propose, is that the winner of the King of the Ring tournament, my version, will have two options when they win. They can either A, challenge for their top brand's world title at the end of the year, the last show of the year. They have it on that because, in all honesty, I think that would be a great way to start the new year, and we add a little bit of suspense, don't you think? Or they can have whatever number they want in the Royal Rumble matchup, because then you could start off the new year right. In honesty, it's a win-win for everybody. So that is the format, and that is the stakes that are on the line for this. Not anything where it's going to be like, this person is going to get fired or something like that. No. But I do think that possibly to the victor goes the spoils, and the loser of that matchup will be entered in as the number one entrant in the Royal Rumble matchup. I'm actually just thinking about this on the fly right now. As far as the losing deal, I think that might actually be a good one, but we're going to hold off on that. Maybe I'll think of something else later. If you guys would like for me to book a Queen of the Ring, I'll be more than happy to, but I will need a lot of support as well as a lot of likes from you guys. So whether it's on the YouTube page, on the Anchor page, Spreaker page, whatever you have, let me know in the comment section, and also let me know via my social media outlets such as Twitter at RealFNGame, as well as on Instagram. So, enough of that plugging. Let's talk about the participants. Who do we have? Well, for SmackDown, I have Chad Gable, Otis, Baron Corbin, Shinsuke Nakamura, Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Roode, Cesaro, and Jey Uso. Because why not reward somebody who has not been or has a DWI or DUI in the last few years and hasn't been violating that 4 times? Why not reward the good one? That's just me. On Raw, we have Ricochet, Kofi Kingston, John Morrison, Keith Lee, Mustafa Ali, Drew McIntyre, Mansoor, and Damian Priest. That is the 16 participants that I have. Now we go into the brackets, which I'm sure somebody's going to be writing this down. Don't worry, I got it down in my notes as well. So on SmackDown, we have Chad Gable versus Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Roode versus Baron Corbin, Otis versus Cesaro, and Nakamura versus Jey Uso. On Raw, we have Ricochet versus Morrison, Keith Lee versus Mustafa, Mansoor versus Drew McIntyre, and Kofi Kingston versus Damian Priest. So, in the first round matchup, we have Chad Gable and Dolph Ziggler in a great matchup. Gable picks up the victory. Bobby Roode defeats Baron Corbin because, in all honesty, at this point, I think that having Baron Corbin on a losing streak is going to only make him a more sympathetic babyface going forward. And I'm going to state this right now. For the record, I would pay that kind of money just to get his theme song. $10,000. Somebody give me a loan. So, Roode beats Corbin. Cesaro very narrowly defeats Otis. Otis is a big guy who's going to be hard to take down, but Cesaro fights back, and he just gives that ruthless aggression that we know he can do. Also, Nakamura defeats Jey Uso, not in a squash. Jey Uso has definitely proven himself as a huge headliner. Jey Uso and Nakamura have a knockdown, drag-about fight. Ricochet versus John Morrison's a nice matchup where you have some nice, flippy-dippy stuff, like a lot of the indie fans will really enjoy. In the end, though, John Morrison picks up the victory. I really would love to see King Ricochet. Just now's not the time. Now is not the time. Keith Lee versus Mustafa Ali would be a great matchup between the two of them. In the end, Mustafa Ali falls to Keith Lee. Mansoor versus Drew McIntyre. A lot of people were kind of wondering why I would have picked him in this matchup, and honestly, I really like the tag team duo of Mansoor and Mustafa Ali. I think it's honestly one of those pairings that I had one segment that got me already hooked on. Just Mustafa Ali basically saying, no, we're going to do this first, and then we're going to do this. And then Mansoor's just like, let's get matching outfits. Let's get a entrance theme together. Let's take a tag team move. Let's do blah, 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 blah. Just so funny seeing that. Having Mansoor taking on a former WWE champion would definitely elevate his stock, and I honestly would love to see how the market would be for Mansoor to come so close to defeat him, but Drew McIntyre does pick up the victory in the end. Honestly, it's one of those things where you do have somebody that, is going to be so well-loved internationally. Why not have him be a huge international star and have a great showing against the former WWE champion? That's just me. And in the match between Kofi Kingston and Damian Priest, Priest picks up the victory. Kofi is still trying to find that edge that he needs to become the best wrestler that he can be. We have the semifinals for each brand, in which it's going to be Chad Gable versus Bobby Roode, because I like a little NXT flair. Thank you very much. And we have Nakamura versus Cesaro. So Chad Gable versus Bobby Roode. Great matchup between them. You have the former Impact World Heavyweight Champion versus the guy who comes so close to getting on the Olympic team and winning a gold medal, but not quite, because he's not quite Kurt Angle. Oops, did I say that loud? Chad Gable picks up the victory over Bobby Roode. Nakamura versus Cesaro. What do you expect? These two are literally just going to do uppercuts and kicks to each other and just literally just be an absolute beautiful fest on there. And this might be a bit of a controversial statement, but I would actually have Cesaro win with the sharpshooter. I know that's kind of one of those things where it's like, no, you're going to be burying Nakamura. He's not buried. This is a guy who literally has a crown, and he's basically like Kinsuke Nakamura. Literally, he's trying to basically prove his crown as valid, I would say, because he just won it over Baron Corbin, and that was about it. But Nakamura is always going to be this king of strong style. And to be honest, I see Cesaro going more further with this than Nakamura would. But I do see Nakamura at least having one reign as WWE champion or Universal champion, hopefully soon. Cesaro needs it more, bottom line. That's just my opinion. Nakamura, he's got this new resurgence. He's going to be fine. On Raw, we have Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre and Keith Lee versus John Morrison. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre is just literally a slugfest between these two guys. They just beat each other down. We see a Razor's Edge. It's countered. Drew McIntyre hits the Future Shock. Claymore, 1, 2, 3. Drew McIntyre picks up the victory, and we get a little bit of that nice NXT flair between these two. John Morrison versus Keith Lee. You have a veteran versus a young up-and-coming rookie of sorts. Keith Lee, though, with the Spirit Bomb, beats John Morrison in the end. So we have the finals for SmackDown and the finals for Raw. And because it's my fantasy booking, we're going to say that it's taking place in the October show, which is No Mercy. Because in all honesty, I liked the original format back in 2004 when they just had one show every month. Now that they put on like 20 different shows throughout the year, it's ridiculous. So we have Chad Gable versus Cesaro. Knockdown, drag-about matchup. Not a great mat wrestling between the two of them. Strength and power by Cesaro and Gable. In the end, though, Cesaro picks up the victory, and he's going to Survivor Series. But against who is the question? We have Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre. Keith Lee avenges the loss that he had earlier on in the year and beats Drew McIntyre to advance to Survivor Series. And in all honesty, you can play up the stories between these two guys going into Survivor Series. Have them talk about Keith Lee's accomplishments in NXT, where he was the North American champion and the NXT champion at the same time. Have them relive that moment of glory where they showcase his match with Adam Cole, where it was just absolutely phenomenal seeing that. Him beating Randy Orton in his first big-time pay-per-view matchup. There's so much that you can utilize to push Keith Lee with Cesaro. Oh, the amount of time that you could put in, where you could talk about how he was just this Swiss sympathizer. There we go. He went from that to doing the yodeling gimmick. He went from that to being a real American. Excuse me. He went on to have multiple tag team title reigns with, Tyson Kidd, The Bar, Nakamura. Oh gosh, I feel like I'm missing somebody here because he had so many runs with like so many different tag teams. I'm trying to remember who else he probably had a tag team title run with. You can even showcase some of the stuff that he did in the independent scene. Same with Keith Lee. Show their humble upbringings to the point that they're at right now. Showcase, Cesaro is just a hard-hitting guy who is going to be very tough to bring down. Keith Lee, a big guy who is just going to be hard to bring down. It's just a story that tells itself. And at Survivor Series, screw everything about the whole brand warfare deal. It's literally a perfect matchup between Raw and SmackDown, Keith Lee and Cesaro. I don't care about the scoring system at this point. Keith Lee and Cesaro would just kill it on the show. It's absolutely amazing. These two guys just beat the ever-living piss out of each other. Cesaro locks in the sharpshooter. Keith Lee is able to get to the ropes. He gets hit with the neutralizer, but Keith Lee rolls out. The Big Bad Catastrophe. Cesaro kicks out of that. Keith Lee is hitting everything he's got. Cesaro's hitting everything that he's got. We're seeing so much of these guys just laying it out. In the end, though, Keith Lee lifts up Cesaro, a pop-up spirit bomb. 1, 2, 3. King Lee, or King Keith, it's a work in progress. Keith Lee becomes the king of the ring. And if I was to fantasy book it what he would choose, I would honestly have him enter himself into the Royal Rumble. Now, do I think that he's going to be, like a kingly guy and he's going to turn heel or anything like that? No, definitely not. He's literally going to be one of those guys who, on that night, he wears the robe, he wears the crown, maybe he has this nice little funny Instagram story where maybe Mia Yim is just, like, not impressed with Keith Lee, or maybe she's like, you were always royalty to me, something kind of sweet like that. But after that, maybe even like 2 weeks after wearing it, he abandons that altogether. You can mention, the fact that he's the 2021 King of the Ring, Keith Lee. And, some people might even say, King Lee or King Keith or King Keith Lee, whatever they choose. I'm sorry, hashtag King Lee is what I'm all about right now. So if we can make that a thing, that would be amazing. So that is how I would book the King of the Ring if it was done in this year. I doubt it's going to be, but this is something that I would do. So thank you guys so much for listening in. This has been the Game Changer Podcast. You can check me out on a lot of the social networking platforms that include Twitter as well as Instagram at RealFNGame. Check us out on our Facebook fan page. Check out our merch on the Game Changer Podcast, merch.com. You can also check out this podcast on so many different podcasting formats, including iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker.com, and it's also available on the YouTube channel. So, with that being said, I've been NateFNGreat. Thank you so much for listening in. Remind you guys to be safe, be smart, be respectful, and you can make a difference as a game changer, one moment at a time. Bye-bye.